second board goes up. The race then about to get underway. A 15-minute race for round 2 of the 22 Switch MX5 Cup by 5 Club. The lights go out now and away we go. It's a pretty even start by the two of them on the front row of the grid, and they head down towards Clervaux Corner. This decent-sized field of Mazda MX-5s, all Mark 1 1600cc engines, of course. And it's Ben Short that leads then from Ben Hansey in second place. George King holding station in third place as they go through Clervaux for the first time. That's Jordan Johnson, though, that I think is off the circuit in the number 92 car. There's his dad, number 22, Adrian Johnson. Slippery surface warning flag you could see there at Hawthorns. One or two cars going wide, but it is Ben Short then, the reigning champion, that leads the way from Ben Abbott as they head down towards Tower for the first time.
That's right, Ian. It's great to see Matthew Short out. That car was badly beaten up yesterday, but BS Motorsport have got that car out. They were working late last night to allow for that. There's Ben Hansey. Stephen Craggs has made a good start from 8th on the grid. He goes round the outside to try and get 5th. And they're going to be side by side as they head up towards the Jim Clark S's on the first lap of 15 minutes. But the Bens are absolutely together. Ben Short and Ben Abbott, and Short got a bit of a twitch on there through the S's as they head their way then into Croft with George King going with them. Then there's a gap back to the rest. And Ben Abbott gets so close that he just touched the back of the rear bumper of the race leading car. But I think where he tried to get out of it means that Ben Short leads by a bit more than what he did going into that sequence of corners.
Absolutely so. Back down towards the complex they come for the first time in this race. It's Short, Abbott and then King. Then it's the 44 car of Matt Hallam in 4th position as they all stream through the complex now left and then right, and then the left-hand hairpin to end the lap and bring them back onto the start and finish straight. Very tight corner. Bit of a lock-up there from the race leader. But I don't think it's going to cost him because Ben Abbott's still there in second, George King third, a slight gap to Hallam in 4th position. 5th is Stephen Craggs going very well. That's probably as high as we can remember him being. He's ahead of Ben Hansey, the 2-time champion, and he is going to get alongside the car ahead of him as they head into Clervaux Corner that time, and it is Craggs still just about holding on from Hansey, but he makes a mistake there, wheel into the gravel. Another car, was that Huggins I think, that also got a wheel into the gravel at that corner.
Did Stephen Craggs hang on to it? It was a big old slide. He hasn't. Ben Hansey actually lost another place. I wonder if he just backed out of it thinking that Craggs was going to spin. Ian Tomlinson's got between him and George King's going for second down towards Tower. Can he get ahead of Ben Abbott? He cannot. What's happening behind? Well, now, yeah, Ian Tomlinson got past Hansey and now he's going round the outside of Stephen Craggs. And can he make this work? Not really. They're side by side still. But Ian Tomlinson, who was 7th at the start of the lap, could yet be 5th. But up front, Ben Short's got a bigger lead over Ben Abbott, who's got this pressure from George King in 3rd, then 4th. Matthew Hallam, then in 5th. They are still... Head now of Jordan Johnson. Remember, he went off at the start, didn't he? Recovering, and Stephen Craggs dropping therefore back to where he started. An eventful first 2.5 laps. He breaks really late into the tower to get right back onto the bumper of the Jordan Johnson car that's coming back through the order. And they turn their way then into the Jim Clark S's on lap 3 of this 15-minute race. Yesterday we had a slightly shortened race because of a red flag, so we own something like 9 or 10 laps, I suspect. And they turn their way then into Sunny. This is a good battle for what is 6th.
It is. It is. So Hansi at the head of that little group, but Ian Tomlinson a little bit ahead of him now. He's broken away and is catching, in actual fact, Matt Hallam, I think, who's in 4th position. So Hansi, the champion in 2019 and 2020, heading the 4-car gaggle, because Lloyd Huggins now in the number 14 car is at the back of that group. Watching some of the other cars get through there, including number 70, Jeremy Rivers Fletcher, who's in 18th place. There's the leader going over the line. There's Ben Abbott in 2nd and George King in 3rd. Abbott, who started racing in 2014, he was going well in the 2019 championship, winning in 2nd, but had a motorbike accident which forced him to miss half of the season. Driving this Abbott Motorsport prepared car, he's doing battle with George King, the 21-year-old Essex driver, who's done some racing in the Middle East in the Gulf Radical Cup and the Dubai 24 Hours as well. Just did the full season in the MX5s last year. Hadn't done any karting before he jumped into the MX5s towards the end of 2020, but acquitting himself well here. A good fight with the more experienced Ben Abbott. Matt Hallam there, the Castle Combe Formula Ford regular, switching to the MX5s for this season. And there you can see the battle with Stephen Craggs and Lloyd Huggins over 8th and 9th position. The next car through a little bit further back, you just saw him in shot there. In 10th place, number 22, Chief Adrian Johnson.
Nose to tail for 2nd and 3rd between Ben Abbott and George King. George King certainly keeping Ben Abbott pretty busy there on the 4th lap of the race. It seems to me that Ben Short pulled away more than he did at the opening stages yesterday. Perhaps that is because Ben Abbott's attentions are to the car of George King. It looks up the inside into the complex, but couldn't make that work. And then they turn right out of the complex up towards the hairpin. And can George King have another go here? No, I don't think he's quite close enough, so he sits in behind and then accelerates off to complete another lap. This will be the end of 4 laps for this round 2 of the Switch 5-club racing MX5 Cup. And for 4th position, Ian Tomlinson's got himself up ahead of Matt Hallam, I reckon. So yep. Tomlinson, who finished 7th yesterday, is going really well here into 4th. Yep, certainly is. So it's Tomlinson, Blackpool driver, long-time racer in the 5-club MX5 Cup, ahead now of Hallam. Hansi has also caught Hallam as well, hasn't he? Hallam faded away in yesterday's race a little bit after a good start to the race, so I wonder if he's still sort of learning how to drive these MX5s and perhaps not go off too hard in the early stages, maybe get the tyres away from their optimal performance. That's possibly an issue. Avon tyres they use in the Switch MX5 Cup, of course. So the 3 cars behind Matthew Hallam have all set a better lap than he has during the course of the race, and the 3 cars behind him are doing personal best where Hallam is not, so that all adds up into your theory, Ian. But it's Hallam then ahead of Hansi. He's keeping with Ian Tomlinson at the moment. Now Tomlinson's ahead. But Ben Hansi's still a bit of a curious case, isn't he? After being so far for the last few years and being up with Ben Short and Ben Abbott, he just is not this weekend. No, that's absolutely right. Nose to tail there between Hallam and Hansi then for 5th and 6th positions. Hansi just nibbling at the back of Hallam now. Hallam, who raced a Spectrum for a time in the Castle Combe Formula Ford 1600 Championship. He's gone from Australian cars to Japanese cars. It's a good little 4-car scrap this though, isn't it, with Jordan Johnson, who had that off on the first lap. In 7th place at the back of this group. He's been a race winner in the past, in 2019. Over the line they go with just over 6 minutes left to go in the race. Tomlinson, if anything, making a break here, isn't he? In 4th position now from Hallam and Hansi. You suggest that Hallam might be holding Ben Hansi up now. Yeah, now the second half of the lap, the last lap, certainly Tomlinson was able to get away. Hallam on that lap did actually do a personal best. Now he had somebody to chase as they turn their way off of the chicane. Hansi is right behind him. You can't see him on the screen because he's so close behind. He's almost pushing him. If he was any closer, he would be. Now he darts out to the inside, but Hallam defends. And actually, he brakes so late, he ends up on the inside of Ian Tomlinson. He was nowhere near to, so that was pretty extraordinary. And he might gain the position in all of that. I don't think Tomlinson would have expected that. I'm not sure if Hallam expected it, to be honest.
Well, Tomlinson must have surely made a bit of a mistake into there, because he was so far ahead, wasn't he? And now Hallam has got through the Jim Clark S's. Well, I think I may have done Hallam a disservice there, saying he sort of was going to fade in the second part of the race. He's bouncing back really strongly here. Tomlinson gets back around the outside of him, though, at Sunny Corner. So this is for fourth. It's number 9 Ian Tomlinson in fourth. 44 Matt Hallam is fifth. 40 Ben Hansey is sixth. Here's the battle for second as well.
Yeah, because George King is still putting Ben Abbott under a load of pressure. Just under 3 seconds behind the leader, or they were at the start of that, but I think on this lap George King's been trying a lot of things to get past. This is the completion of lap 6 of what I reckon will be a 9-lap race here. So they blast up across the line to complete that lap then, with Ben Short still in front, still setting fastest lap, 1 minute 40.07, and Abbott feeling the need to defend here into Clairvaux. So close is George King to him, but he's defended well enough that King can't get alongside. And then they turn their way then through the long right-hander at Hawthorne before flicking through the chicane and then accelerating down the longest straight on the circuit towards Tower. And George King's got a really good run off of the chicane, so he pulls to the left-hand side of the circuit. It'll be the outside line for Tower, but can he brake late enough to get round the outside into second place? He's giving it a go. They're wheel to wheel, and Ben Abbott on the inside is able to hang on.
Ben Short's just in the best lap of the race, a 1:40.07, about 6 tenths outside the fastest lap record he set yesterday. But here's still the fight for second place then. Ben Abbott and George King, who seems to be getting stronger all the time, race by race. It's the second meeting of the season, of course, now really taking the fight to Ben Abbott here. Abbott looked like he made a bit of a mistake under braking there for Sonny. But he holds on to second place for the moment. There's Short doing a bit of lappery there. I think that was Stephen Lewington's number 60 car that he went ahead of. King still fighting hard to try and get ahead of Ben Abbott. These are about 9 seconds ahead of Ian Tomlinson. That scrap for fourth position, by the way. So they've got plenty of space behind them. And in that battle for fourth, I can tell you now that Ben Hansey has got ahead of Matt Hallam, so too has Jordan Johnson as well. So the order now with 3 minutes to go is number 1, Ben Short leading, 93, Ben Abbott is second, 55, George King is third, in fourth place is number 9, Ian Tomlinson, fifth is number 40, Ben Hansey, and it's Jordan Johnson, 92, rounding out the top 6. Those cars just coming to the line now.
Yeah, so Matthew Hallam dropped back there for. I just noticed on George King's car, the left-hand mirror has been folded in at some point. So whether that'll give George King a chance to go up the left-hand side of the circuit to challenge without his competitor really knowing where he is. There, Lloyd Huggins gets himself up to 8th ahead of Stephen Craggs, who made such a good start inside the top 5 he was at one point. Has now dropped further back than where he actually started, but he's trying to get the position back. The side-by-side through the chicane doesn't work, and Lloyd Huggins therefore has to back out, and therefore Stephen Craggs goes back through. Ian Tomlinson, who was the man on the move earlier, is now might lose a place because Ben Hansey drives right round the outside of him there. So let's see if Tomlinson's a bit earlier on the brakes into Tower than some of his competitors, and therefore he loses a place. Ben Hansey up into fourth position. But this group now over 10 seconds behind the podium runners, so much further back behind the leaders Ben Hansey is than what we've been used to him from previous years. But this 4-car battle continues with a new car at the front of it, and they're now going to have to deal with that back marker traffic, which wasn't really a problem, I don't think, for the leaders. And the Hansey queue moved through on the exit of Sunny without any real dramas as well, with a lap to go at the end of this one.
Lock up at the hairpin, I can see, for Ben Abbott, which might give George King the opportunity to get alongside him. No, it doesn't on the exit of the hairpin. We're continuing to watch the battle for fourth here, with Hansey now ahead of Tomlinson, Jordan and Hallam. And there's a gap back to Stephen Craggs, who's now ahead of Lloyd Huggins as well. So that's been a change for 8th and 9th position. As to the line with only a lap to go, goes that battle for fourth. I don't think Ben Hansey's going to improve on P4 today. He's about 10 seconds or so behind the third place driver, which is still George King. There's Tomlinson with Johnson right behind him now. And Johnson, you fancy what he might make up a place before the end of this race, Josh?
He's going to give it a good go. Meanwhile, down towards Tower, they're side by side for second place as George King, I think, has got past Ben Abbott. Finally, after many attempts, so a change for second place. So out of the chicane, a good run for George Kim. That's not over yet, so we're about to pick up on that in a minute. But for 4th, 5th and 6th, they're all together as well. Heading down towards Tower with Ben Hansey ahead again. Is Ian Tomlinson going to lose a place at Tower? Well, Jordan Johnson's trying to get it, but no, I don't think he's able to. So they stay in the same order.
And it was still George King ahead as they headed down to Sunny Corner. Here he is now. He's holding on for Ben Abbott, who goes to the outside line at Sunny in. Tries to force the car up the inside on Sunny out, but George King defends from him and is within a few moments now of getting his best ever results in the MX5 Cup by 5 Club Racing, unless Ben Abbott can do anything to take it away. Several seconds up the road though is Ben Short, but we'll just stick with this battle just for a few moments longer, because they're going to be side by side into the hairpin. It looks like it's going to be George King that holds on up to the line. Goes Ben Short. He's going to take the checker flag to win round 2 of the MX5 Cup by 5 Club. Second goes the way of number 55, George King, then his best ever result. And 3rd place goes to Ben Abbott, who was 2nd for so much of the race.
For 4th, Ben Hansey's going to hang on after he got past Ian Tomlinson round the outside at Tower a couple of laps ago. For 5th, it's Ian Tomlinson, who looks pretty pleased with that. And gets cheered on home. In 6th is Jordan Johnson. In 7th, Matt Hallam, who did drop away after another good start. 8th goes to Lloyd Huggins, who got back ahead of Stephen Craggs again. They switched positions a couple of times towards the end. And Adrian Johnson completes the top 10 as the rest of the field flow through and looks set, I think, for all 25 starters to make it home, which is good to see that they're all firstly got out there after the problems yesterday, and then all managed to get to the end with the best of the cars coming through the field. Matthew Short, who got 15th. Well, let's take a full look at the results.
Yes, it was Ben Short that took the win then in a 9-lap race, and he did it by quite a reasonable margin in the end, 5.45 seconds. So number 1, the winner. Second, number 55, George King. In 3rd place, it was number 93, Ben Abbott. Those two swap places on the final lap. In 4th place, number 40, Ben Hansey. 5th to number 9, Ian Tomlinson. And 6th to 92, Jordan Johnson. Matt Hallam ran 4th for a while, but dropped back to 7th place in number 44. Lloyd Huggins getting the better of Stephen Craggs in the battle for 8, so that's 14 from 47. And Adrian Johnson, number 22, rounded out the top 10. Thomas Holland in 2:30 was 11th, ahead of David Abbott, Jamie McCann. Andrew Rochelle, the newcomer, did well again to finish 14th. Martin Short from the back of the grid, following his accident yesterday, came back to 15th position. Nico Favreau, Stephen Rees, Alex Lewington, Tim Gray and Jeremy Rivers-Fletcher. And the remaining finishers, number 90, Andrew Robinson, Stephen Reed in 53, Mary Barnard in number 29, the local driver, ahead of David Brown and Stephen Lewington, who are both a lap down. And there's still one more race to come for the Switch MX5 Cup by 5 Club. That's going to be towards the end of the afternoon at around about 3:45. And the grid for that will have a partially reversed grid based on the finishing order from the race we've just seen. It'll be anywhere between 6th to 10th from that race. Will start on pole position for race number 3 of the weekend for the Switch MX5 Cup by 5 Club Racing. Well, still lots more to come. We're going to have the RLM Racing Sports 1000 Championship up next. They're going to have a 20-minute race, and with little clearing up to be done, I suspect we'll get interaction with those fairly shortly. But we'll head momentarily, we hope, down to the pit lane to grab a word with our successful drivers from the 5 Club race. You can see the drivers clambering out of their cars now down in the pit lane. Ben Short, the winner, George King, and Ben Abbott, you can see having a chat, sharing and comparing notes from their race and their fight for 2nd position. So let's head down to the pit lane, and belatedly for the first time today, to Chris Stevens.
Well, the race 2 of the MX5 Cup goes to Ben Short. Ben, did it ever look in doubt at any point?
No, I mean, these two were squabbling. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that George, who started with us in the team a couple of years ago, has been getting better and better, and he's been swanning around the Gulf somewhere with doing some radical racing over the winter, and that's really paid off for him. So, yeah, it's great to see him and Ben going at it in the mirror whilst I can drive away. Yeah, yeah, so it was a good sort of time to sort of like get back into the car really and start to think about trying to chase that lap record down, but a bit slower today, I think.
Yeah, a bit warmer and a bit windier than it was yesterday. Did that affect things out there?
Yeah, I mean the engine doesn't feel quite as crisp and the tyres don't seem to last quite as long. So yeah, it's not it's not as good for the cars. Do you know how the 72 car got on from the back?
I didn't get a chance to see it from there, but I'm sure you'll find it out in a second. But
Yeah.
you got the reverse grid up next. How do you think you're going to go there?
Reverse grid's always a bit of an unknown, isn't it? We haven't seen much of Ben Hansey this weekend right at the front, although I think he probably finished 4th there. He's always one to watch out for. And Jordan Johnson, who was getting really good a couple of years ago and went and did some oval racing, he seems to be getting better. So I think there could be quite an interesting reverse grid.
Okay, good. Well, we look forward to it. Congratulations. Back to you, Ian. You can already hear him out on track. Up next, it's the RLM Racing Sports 1000 Championship.